Welcome to Questions from the Closet. I'm Charlie Bird.
And I'm Ben Shalati. Each episode, we discuss a question we commonly get asked as LGBTQ plus Latter-day Saints.
We're not trying to answer this question or come to a consensus, but simply sharing our perspectives. Today's question is the pride flag okay?
So, Charlie and I are not terribly diverse, and we share many opinions and life experiences. For example, we both learned dance choreography from watching movies.
However, there are some pretty big differences. For example, we learned very different choreography, and I assume we were watching very different videos and or movies.
Yeah, what did you learn?
How to be Cosmo.
Say more about that.
I don't know. You said movies. I don't know if I've ever learned choreography from a movie.
Or like a video or...
Yeah, from videos, totally. Like the first Cosmo dance I did, I learned from watching the Cougars do it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
oh.
I just saw the video and I was like, ooh, I want to learn that. And then I learned it and I was like, I want to do it with you guys.
Nice.
So there was that. But I mean, I've learned so many like little dances from TikTok. Yeah. And Shakira taught me how to dance.
I was going to say, I thought Shakira taught you how to dance.
Shakira taught me how to dance, everyone. Not everyone can say that. But I took Spanish through middle school and high school. And I got to the point where there was only like 3 of us taking like Spanish that high. Mm-hmm. And so they didn't offer it. So they just like grouped us in with other classes. And we had to watch this novela and like answer questions about the novela. So I watched it on double speed so then I could watch Shakira all day. Oh, and I learned how to dance in Spanish class.
Super fun. You know, Shakira and I share a birthday.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So exciting.
When's her birthday?
February 2nd.
Isn't that your birthday?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Small world. Anyway, what'd you learn?
I learned how to do the Charleston from watching Singing in the Rain.
Can you prove it?
I can, but there's not a lot.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't know what the Charleston is.
You don't know what the Charleston is?
I probably used to.
I really should show you, but right now
all
it's just
I'm
not the time.
thinking about right now is the Carlton dance.
No.
You like,
it's a classic dance from the 20s. It's very good.
So funny. Awesome.
Anyway, well, we'd like to provide a variety of voices and perspectives. So today we're joined by Austin Peterson.
Hi, guys.
So Austin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Austin. I am gay. I am a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I'm currently serving in Bishopric in a conventional ward in Orem.
Ooh.
And
conventional ward?
Yes, that is the handbook name for a ward that is not a YSA ward. Yes, exactly like that.
Okay.
No fans, just...
Wait, I'm thinking of a convection oven.
Yeah.
Okay, carry on. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, and I'm currently working at BYU.
Yeah. Cool.
In the Office of IT.
Great. And you and I are friends.
And we're friends.
Yeah. You're a classic example of it takes me 3 times to meet someone.
Yes.
We met in 3 different locations, and then I finally knew who you were the 3rd time.
Okay, but I remember the first 2 of these. So the first time we met was in the temple, and you told me that you were gay and that you worked at BYU. I think you even told me that you taught, and I was like, there's no gay teachers at BYU. That's not a thing. That's not how it is.
No, that's where you were wrong.
Student at the time, so I was like shocked. And then we never ran into each other.
There's actually a lot.
Yeah, turns out.
Yeah.
And then it was like years later, and we were at our mutual friend Ryan's house watching a movie that I do not remember what movie it was.
But it was definitely appropriate.
These 2 are always watching movies. Ben's always like, do you want to come over for a movie night with me and Austin? And I'm like, no, not really.
Movies are good.
You should come to our movie nights.
I probably should.
So good.
It's always some sort of depressing movie, though.
Okay, our last one was real bad.
It was very depressing.
So good, though.
Alzheimer's, it was sad. But it was an excellent movie. Julianne Moore won the Oscar for Best Actress.
Would recommend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, and then the 3rd time.
Oh, and then the 3rd time I was like, I need to come out to someone. Oh, hey, there's Ben. And so I got your number from our mutual friend, Bert. And then I texted you and I was like, hey, I've listened to some of the podcasts and I know you like lunches. Do you want to get lunch?
And so I said, you asked Ben out.
And I said yes. And we got Thai food at the Thai Hut in Provo. And then Austin came out to me and was like, oh my gosh, thank you for trusting me. Who knows? And you said, you? I was like, ah. And thus began our friendship.
Yep. Third time.
Great. And Austin, how are you involved in Questions from the Closet?
Is that a loaded question?
Not prescripted at all. I answer the Questions from the Closet emails. I help answer the Questions from the Closet emails.
That's true. So if someone gets an email from Questions from the Closet and it says from the QFTC team.
Good job,
That's
Ben.
from you.
That is from me, yes.
Yeah. And it was fun. I kind of like trained you on how to answer the emails, or like, this is what I would say. And then you got really good at it.
Yeah, it's like training an AI model with like putting a bunch of your stuff in, except it was me and I just read a whole bunch of your emails and listened to you talk a whole bunch. And so I just channel my inner Ben but I never like speak on your behalf. If it's ever something that I'm like, if I ever use like the first person, I always make sure that you read it first and approve it before I send it. So,
So what's the weirdest question and or comment that's come in?
Oh, wait, I just want people to know if it says Ben at the bottom, that is from me. Austin would not sign Ben.
Yes, I do not sign Ben. Sometimes I like half write an email and I'm like, you need to finish this. This one's real personal. And
I'm like, oh, that's a good start.
If it ever says Charlie at the end, then you have won the golden ticket and you can meet me at Willy Wonka factory. Anyway, so let's get into the topic. Ben, would you like to introduce it?
Yeah, so the question is the pride flag okay? So we should probably reach out and ask it, like, how are you doing? Are you okay?
Are you okay?
No, this is a question we get asked.
A lot of people have strong opinions about you.
Yeah. This is a question we get asked regularly, and people have strong opinions. And also, I was recently roasted on the internet for talking about pride flags, and I thought maybe we just like talk about it and have an episode about it. Yeah. Awesome. So let's talk about where they came from, Charlie.
Yeah, I actually did some research about the history of the pride flag. And so it was designed by Gilbert Baker in 1978, and initially it had 8 bars.
And
it was like the purpose was to kind of like unify the gay rights movement and give people kind of like representation that was representative of like a spectrum of different people. So it had 8 colors, and then it got bumped down to 6 after the assassination of Harvey Milk, who was a gay rights activist in San Francisco. Anyway, so there are currently, on like the standard pride flag, there's been some variations in the past couple years, but the standard one has 6 colors in rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. And I looked up that each one like stands for something else. Would you like to know what they are?
I would like to know that.
Okay.
Oh, green, nature.
Actually, yes, that's true.
Okay.
Okay,
yellow.
yes. Okay.
Yellow, sunshine.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, start with red.
Red, the blood of those who fought for our freedoms.
Actually, kind of. It's life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so life. And then orange.
The most delicious fruit.
Yes, healing. Because when you eat oranges, it heals you from scurvy.
Yeah.
That's how you remember it. Yellow was sunlight. Good job. Green was nature. Awesome. These ones are going to be hard. Blue.
Austin?
Think very zen.
Like living in harmony.
Serenity.
Oh, okay. All right.
And then the purple one
is unoxygenated blood.
It's got to be like royalty or something, right? Like being super fabulous.
It's spirit.
Oh, okay.
So we have life, healing, sunlight, nature, serenity, spirit. And that represents like the it represented at the time what was the tenets of the gay rights movement and like the complexity, I guess, and what makes up like a gay person. And then so that's what they are now. There were 2 others, but I don't know what the other 2 stood for. I should probably look it up. But
so which of those ideals are the bad ones that we shouldn't have?
I'm probably gonna say, well, some people think it's life. I don't think so. I think they're all really beautiful.
Yeah. And can I share a story about pride flags?
Yeah.
Okay. So I have this great friend in Washington, D.C. She has 3 boys that are ages like 9, 7, and 5-ish. And I spent a weekend with them in DC a little over like a year and a half ago. And the youngest loves rainbows. She's like naturally loves rainbows. And during Pride Month last year, so about 6 months ago, he noticed all these rainbow flags everywhere. And he's like, Mom, why are there these rainbow flags everywhere? And so he doesn't know what Pride Month is. He doesn't know what gay people are. And so this is what she said. She said, well, do you remember our friend Ben and how we love our friend Ben? And she said, well, there are most boys like girls and most girls like boys, but there are some boys who like boys and some girls who like girls. And it can be hard for people like that. And our friend Ben is a boy who likes boys. And this kid had like just started to understand what the concept of crush, like a crush was. So she's like, so some boys have crushes on boys and some girls have crushes on girls. And then she said, when you see that rainbow flag, it means that we love people like Ben. We love people who like boys and girls who like girls. And he says, so when I see a rainbow, that means that I love Ben. And she said, yes, that's what it means. Isn't that lovely?
That's cute. Yeah, that is lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think actually, as I was kind of researching for this episode, something you basically like the pride flag is a symbol, right? So in true Mormon fashion, as if it's a testimony meeting from 1990, I looked up the definition of a symbol.
Great. What does it say?
So a symbol is a mark, sign, or word that indicates, signifies, or is understood as representing an idea, object, or relationship. And obviously that's kind of an obvious thing to us, but I really like the idea of representing a relationship. And I think that's kind of what you hinted at, that to this woman and the way she taught her son about this represents that we are kind, we have positive relationships with people from the LGBTQ community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really love symbols. Like I love studying like Old Testament symbols. I love like in the scriptures and in the temple. I think that stuff's just fascinating. And I think that there's a broad spectrum of symbols. So you have like very specific symbols. Like you have like the little political stickers of like the elephant and the donkey for the two political parties, two of the major political parties in the US. And those have very specific meanings. Like you see that and you know exactly what it means. There's no question. But then you also have like more broad symbols that can mean a whole bunch of different things. It can be really vague. And I think that the pride flag can be complex because it has that. Right. So to one person, it might mean something, and to someone, it might mean something completely different.
Well, and I feel like that's even kind of represented in the design because it shows like different colors, different blocks, kind of like a spectrum. So obviously it's like nodding to the spectrum of human sexuality, but I think in practice, it's also like a spectrum of beliefs and ways to like love and honor different people. And along with that though, so basically like the question is the pride flag okay? There's obviously negative connotations to it for a lot of people.
And like Austin was saying, it's going to mean different things to different people.
For sure. And I think with words and symbols, that's so important. Just kind of like plug, I think it's always important, whether it's a label or a symbol, and you're curious about why someone's using it, to ask, to say, hey, like I saw you had this symbol. What does it mean to you? And even as I was kind of introducing the pride flag, it was born out of like the gay civil rights movement that was like happening in the late 70s in San Francisco. And that has a lot of negative connotations to a lot of people because of like the political aspects of how the flag was used and what it represented. And so I think it does make sense that people have different views on it, and that, I mean 1970, how long ago was that? It's been like, we're getting closer to like 50 years. And so it's been a long time that the symbol has represented a huge gamut of people in different states, cities, countries, with different cultures, different backgrounds, different sexual identities, different orientations, different gender identities, and so like different political affiliations, different religions. And it makes sense that people would have different views of the pride flag, and that those would develop over time.
Yeah, definitely. So Austin, what do we do if there's a symbol that could mean radically different things to different people?
Well, it's hard. So I think there's two main options. Is the one option is you can avoid anything that might ever have a negative connotation. And we do that with some things. And there are some symbols. So for example, like the swastika, like is a very beautiful symbol in Indian culture and in Hindu religions and has like all this meaning. We generally just kind of avoid it in general because it has the negative connotations as well. And so I think for some things that have kind of both sides or multiple different sides, you can just avoid it.
The meaning changed.
Yeah. And the other one is you just kind of continue with it and try and reclaim it and rebrand it as your own. And you just hope that when people are confused, they ask you. I
think with like the LGBTQ population and like history, we've had to do a lot of reclaiming of symbols that had negative connotations. I mean, even the word gay, I guess I'll use the word queer as a better example. Like that was historically been a slur, but it's kind of been reclaimed in recent years to mean like an umbrella term. Right. And I feel like the same thing is kind of happening with the pride flag, to where before it was definitely more politicized, and now it's more of like a social statement and not so much like nodding to any sort of like political divide.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Well, I think that people often now use the pride flag as a way to kind of symbol to each other, kind of that social aspect, right? That you belong, or that I care about you, or I'm gay. But it's not just, I mean, I see flags occasionally still like outside hanging, but I think the pride flag appears in a lot more places than that now.
Mm-hmm. Can I tell you when my opinion on the pride flag changed? And actually,
yes, you can.
I think it'd be cool to like, because it's developed over time for sure. Like growing up, the pride flag was awful. I thought it was so embarrassing. I hated it because for me, it symbolized sin, right? It symbolized I guess fear, because I was afraid of like associating with it, because it symbolized like pride in the bad sense of the word, like the scriptural pride of like
pride cometh before the fall.
Exactly. And honestly, that's the way I was raised.
Was it ever anti-church to you?
Definitely.
Like, for me, it was very like with like Prop 8 and like, because it was standing for, you know, the right to get married. And so.
For sure. And it was like pride flag versus family proclamation almost.
Yes.
And so it was definitely viewed as like an adverse symbol, like gave me like big Satan vibes back in the day, you know? And so obviously like I avoided it at all costs. Thoughts on that, Ben?
I just honor your experience.
Relatable experience?
I don't really remember thinking about it very much, honestly.
You're so interesting to me.
Yes. Sorry. 10 years older. Anyway,
so like even in this, I mean, it was the same thing with the word gay. I felt the same, like with all of it, right? Fast forward a few years, as I'm getting to know myself, as I'm opening up and coming out, I'm starting to like kind of turn down the heat on some of these symbols, especially the word gay, and kind of like reframe it in my mind, because I realized that wasn't what it meant, you know? Anyway, so I remember, but I was still, I didn't like the pride flag. I think there was probably some of that residue from feeling icky about it, but also just like, to be honest, and I've said this before, like, I don't really like jewel tones and like the stacked jewel tones. Like, I think it's a brilliant design from an artistic design standpoint. It's so brilliant. It like has become an iconic symbol,
but just those colors aren't for you.
Right. It's just not for me. Right. That's just not like what I would choose. Anyway, so one day I was walking around campus at BYU and I was having a really hard time and I was like struggling. I felt alone. I felt scared. And I was walking in the JFSB, which is one of the buildings where I had a humanities class, and just kind of roaming. And I saw a little pride flag pin on a professor's office hour door. And it said, "You're safe with me," or something like that. So I was really surprised to see that. And that's when the symbolism really for me kicked in for the first time. I was like, oh, she's saying that I'm gay and I'm safe with her. So I knocked on the door. She opened it and I was like, hi. and
you didn't know her.
I never met her, right? I didn't know who was going to open the door. And she was like, hi. And I was like, can I come in? And she was like, why? She's like, are you a student in one of my classes? I was like, no. So I shut the door. I was like, I saw your pin. And she was like, oh. And she sat down and she was like, actually, I have a meeting in 15 minutes. Let me cancel it because I want to talk. So she canceled her meeting and we cried together. I talked to her. I told her everything I was feeling. I was with her for like 40 minutes. I don't know her name. I don't know where her office is. I've never seen her since. And it was so meaningful to me. Like, she helped me so much. And so that was the first time that I saw the pride flag as a symbol, not meaning anything derogatory or bad, but something that actually pulled me closer to relationship and closer to healing. And that was really beautiful and eye-opening for me.
Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself like finding that pride symbol now everywhere, or like catching it? So like, maybe to expound a little bit,
like if it's there, I see it.
Yes. And like I've been in people like will have never noticed it, and I'll be like, oh, there was one there and there was one there, and like, you know, like this room's setting it off like crazy because Ben's, you know, got pride flags everywhere. And I'm like, but like I can
People
see out
just
of the
give
corner
me
of my
things.
eye, and I'll be like, oh, there's a pride flag. And I remember moving into my ward, and one of the first weeks I was there, I was sitting in like near the bishop's office. I was just introducing myself, and the Relief Society, one of the Relief Society presidents comes out, and on her bag she had a little heart-shaped pride pin, and I like immediately noticed it. Mm-hmm. As soon as she walked out, I saw it, and like I didn't say anything for quite a while, but she was one of the first people I came out to in that ward, and that was part of that, is because I knew. And I connected to that, even if I didn't like say anything out loud or say anything to her initially. I saw it and I recognized it.
Well, and I think it's because we're hypervigilant, right? We've always been hypervigilant about who's safe or who's scary, and it would make sense that all of us notice that because our minds, our bodies are trained to look for signs of safety, and that sounds like to all three of us we've had experiences where people who have used that symbol do feel safe with this portion of who we are.
Yeah. Austin, did you go through a journey like Charlie did where your thoughts and feelings changed?
Oh, yeah. I I don't know that there was ever like one moment that I can point to, but definitely like avoided pride flag, avoided rainbow things at all costs growing up and just, into young adulthood. And then once I kind of started coming to terms with my own sexuality and who I was, I started to soften a little bit towards them. And it was kind of came along with accepting my own orientation.
For sure.
And they kind of came hand in hand. And so by the time I was willing to use the label gay and kind of say things, I was fully on board with the symbol.
Would you say, because, some people still even think or believe that using that symbology or that label of gay and kind of like assuming part of your identity and aligning it with the symbols and words we use to express that part of identity, if that makes sense, that it has pulled you away from God?
I don't think that aligning, no. Sorry, quick answer, no. But I think there's a lot of thought there, because that was what I was terrified was going to happen.
For sure.
Right. These were opposites. It was one or the other. You couldn't have both. You couldn't be there. And so it was either have a relationship with God and not just like accept my orientation and use the label gay, but also just to like accept other gay people and to love people as they are and to let people live and love as they want, was antithetical to maintaining that relationship with God.
Mm-hmm.
And so that definitely took a lot of time to overcome and to realize that like those are not two connected things about me accepting myself and also having that relationship with God.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't recall having a journey with the pride flag, honestly. Maybe I did.
Well, I think you're having it still.
Yeah. But I did have a big change with the word pride.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote a blog post a few years ago called "Pride is the Opposite of Shame," and how I used to just be so ashamed of my orientation and this part of me. And so for me, like the opposite of that shame, I think we would call pride. And so, yeah.
I'm thinking I love, if nobody's read that, if you still haven't read that blog post, I would highly recommend looking it up. It's very good.
Actually, can I read you a paragraph from it?
Yeah. It's some of your best work.
I won't read the whole thing. I'll just read one paragraph. So I wrote this at the end of the blog post. I wrote, if the word pride makes you uncomfortable, here are some synonyms that might be easier to relate to. Dignity, self-respect, honor. Gay dignity means that I am comfortable being myself around others. Gay self-respect means that I welcome all parts of me as important ingredients to who I am. Gay honor means that I no longer want to die because of my orientation.
So powerful.
Yeah. So I don't remember having like a huge change with the like feeling about rainbow flags and stuff, but I don't remember.
So I feel like my view of the pride flag is still evolving. Like it wasn't done that minute that I had that interaction with the BYU professor, but I think I've kind of like ebbed and flowed with my liking for it, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So it's funny because I think everyone says this. Everyone I've talked to has been like, at the beginning of their coming out journey, is like, I'm gay and that's fine, I can say that, but I'm never going to be one of those flag waving in a parade gays. And yet I feel like most people eventually at least once wave a flag at a parade. And I think, now that I've done more research, I think it really, really coincides with the stages of coming out, mm-hmm. which we've talked about often, where there's like this internal shame that ends up in coming out. And then stage 5 being the identity pride mm-hmm. stage, where it's like this reaction to suppression, or this reaction to hiding, which is just like...
And there's this pendulum swing from this isn't at all who I am to this is everything that I am.
And maybe it's like an over-identification, and it's very much like, I want you to know I'm gay. I remember when I was in that phase, I just wanted everyone to know I was gay. I wanted that to be the first thing they knew about me, because if that wasn't going to be okay with them, I didn't want to waste my time. Like, I was sick of it. And so I was just like, I want to weed anyone who's not going to support me. I just want to weed them out. And so I did. And I noticed that as that was happening to me, I moved to New York and I started vibing more, I guess, with the pride flag, and like buying rainbow things. And like, I went to Pride and I made sure that I wore rainbow colors, and I like felt more affinity towards it because it was helping me express something. And the thing I was expressing was kind of like the inverse of the symbol. Like the lady you talked to was like expressing it to like show, like, I'm showing love to Ben. But for me, I was like, I'm expressing this because if you don't like it, I don't want you to talk to me.
Yeah.
And it was helpful for that. Like, the symbol worked in reverse. Any thoughts on that? You look inquisitive.
Well, so I was just thinking of like, do you ever... So the pride, so you're talking about the word pride, we're talking about the pride flag and using it to kind of show who you are. And this might not be applicable to either of you anymore, but maybe in the past, like, do you ever still get nervous having the pride flag? Or I guess, I know for Ben for sure, are there times when you choose not to display any pride colors?
Well, like I mean, I don't have a house. I mean, I live in a house, but like, I don't see myself like having a pride flag outside my house. I just don't see that. That just doesn't feel like something I would do.
Why not?
I just don't super love it aesthetically.
Oh, so you also not, well, you're wearing one on your wrist right now.
But I do have a pride wrist, like a watch band, which I love.
disagree that you don't love it aesthetically because you have a ton of rainbow stuff and you like it.
It's because people give it to me.
But you keep it.
Well, yeah, because that'd be rude. No. I love rainbows, but I don't actually just like love the look of the flag. But also, I think I'd be worried that people would maybe interpret it wrong.
Well, for me, I know that I've put pride flags up outside of where I live before, and I've probably had like 6 or 7 ripped down. And so there is like the very realistic, especially if you're in a like more conservative or religious area, it kind of puts a target on your back sometimes. And I mean, I've had that discussion with Ryan before. He's like, I don't want to fly up. He's like, if I ever have a house, I wouldn't put a pride flag up because I don't want to attract any attention.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary, but I think there's also pros and cons to that. Again, like it can, so the pro is you're sending a message to people who do live in the fear, you know, because like to a certain extent, I always live in the fear that because of my orientation, someone's going to reject me or I'll be in harm's way. So like that makes me feel better to see. But then there's also like, are you bringing danger to you? But then there's also, like the blessings of being able to have conversations if there is contention with any like neighbors or anything, like that is a door opener if it doesn't completely close. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So I'll just give you some quick stories. So the first like rainbow thing I ever had was a pin, and I put it on my backpack in 2018 when I was a BYU student. And it was just like this one day I was like, I know people are hurting. They feel lonely and isolated. I'm going to put this on my bag so that people like know that I am gay, and so I can be seen and people can feel seen. And that was really scary for me to do. I remember like walking around campus just being like really aware of who was behind me. And then it just became a normal thing. And then not long after that, my aunt, who's not a member of the church, who lives in Palm Springs, she was going to Pride, and she's like, do you want me to get you anything? I was like, could you get me like a really subtle rainbow ring? She's like, sure. So she gets me this ring and mails it to me. It is not subtle at all. But I started wearing it, and I got a lot of compliments, and it meant a lot to a lot of people to see that. And then when I applied for my job at BYU, I didn't know the people who were going to interview me at all. And I took the ring off for my interview because I didn't want it to be a problem. You know, I didn't want anyone to see that and like misinterpret like my commitment to the gospel or, you know, who I am. Yeah.
I think you like dug into something really interesting about this too. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah. But then
I just want to pin.
Once I started working there, I put it right back on, and no one said anything about it.
It's so interesting that we've talked about this before, kind of like code switching or like passing as straight. That sexual orientation is so interesting because it's not visible, right? There's like stereotypes that you can play up or play into or notice, but like just looking at a human, you don't know what their orientation is. And so I think that does two things. One, it allows us to kind of move in and out. And I think that's cool that you could do that with the pride flag, to be yourself, but also protect yourself. Because you do need to protect yourself. Like we're in a world where it's not always safe to be LGBTQ.
Yeah.
But also I think it's interesting too, because how else can you show and that's why the pride flag has become such a big thing, I think, because it's important to have a symbol, because you don't know who around you is going to be dealing with this. And it makes sense that there would be this symbol to communicate unspoken words, right?
Yeah. I totally agree. And, you know, so Austin and I have the same watch band. It's a rainbow watch band. So nice. Austin actually gave it to me. I think I complimented his once, then bada bing, bada boom. He's a good friend.
And that's why Ben gives compliments.
Yeah. Also,
you specifically said, Can this be my early Christmas present? It was a requested gift.
Oops. Also, I love your car, Austin.
That's what I was going to say.
My birthday is next week. No, it's this week.
Oh, it is, huh?
Yeah, it's on Thursday.
Oh my gosh, we should celebrate then.
I'm working all day and then working the temple in the evening, so I'm not really going to celebrate. Except
Maybe I'll go to the temple and see you there.
You probably won't. I mean, it's unlikely you'll see me, but
Why?
It's a big temple.
it's a big temple.
Oh, I'll look.
All right, fine.
I'm not here for ordinances. I'm just going to walk around the rooms.
Just looking around. Do they still have the breakfast?
No, they don't have the
They took
cafeteria
the
anymore.
cafeteria out?
They did.
You know, COVID did a lot of bad things, and
Yeah.
that's another one.
Okay, well, we're going into a tangent. So I have this rainbow wristband and that I wear all the time, and the reason I do that is because I hid for so long, and I just did not like that. And now I know that there are other people who are hiding. I'm just like, I don't want to hide. Like, I don't want to hide this part of my orientation.
Mm-hmm.
And yet when I work in the temple, I take it off because I know that it's an uncomfortable symbol for some people, and so I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable there. So I take it off when I go to the temple. And when I don't wear.
So part of you still believes that it's anti-church.
I don't think it's anti-church, but I know to some people that's what it means, and so I'm not going to wear a symbol that is uncomfortable.
It also
for people.
just feels weird to wear that much color when you're wearing all white. I'm like so into the aesthetics.
Yeah, and maybe some people would say, if someone's uncomfortable, that's their problem. But I'm trying to be kind and gentle, and if it's uncomfortable to someone, I don't want to put them in an uncomfortable space.
Well,
but in my daily experience, like, I'm gonna wear it.
I think there's times and spaces too, right? Because you wear it every day to work. And most people don't know this, but there's a lot of members of the church at BYU, some of whom might be uncomfortable around that symbol, but yet you still choose to wear it, right?
Yeah.
And there's other things you're going around in your life, and you're not choosing to never wear it because some people might be offended, or because some people think that it means something different to some people than it means to you.
Yeah.
But you're choosing when and where and how to display that.
Yep.
I've noticed that for me, I like increase my usage or visibility of pride related messaging when there's been like damage in the community. Like, and I like, I don't, does that, like, if there's been like,
When people are hurting.
when people are hurting, that's when I'll be like, you know what, I'm gonna put this out. If even like it's for like a week or whatever, I'll just put up the pride flag. Kind of like, honestly, I don't want this to sound like weird, but just the thing it reminded me of was when the flag's at half mast. Like I make a change in the type of symbolism I'm displaying to like offer condolences, empathy, support.
Yeah. I feel like that's actively mourning with those that mourn in a lot of ways. But I just remember, one of the most recent ones was the shooting in Colorado.
Yeah.
And like after that, like every single pride flag felt like a stance. It felt like someone like calling out and saying like, you belong here, like you were wanted. And it was
it's
just
almost like
so
a
much more
tear,
powerful.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a remembrance. It was something like really powerful.
And I mean, we do that with a lot of symbols, and in a lot of ways it's viewed as really beautiful. And it is sad to me sometimes the like amount of politicization that the pride flag has for some people, that they're missing out on those really human moments.
Yeah. Can I give an example of another symbol I use? Like, I love BYU. Love it way too much. And I have a lot of BYU stuff. And when I travel, I purposely wear BYU gear to like meet other members of the church. And sometimes I'll be like walking through an airport and someone will be like, "Go Utes," or I'll have a conversation with someone and they'll be like, "I feel uncomfortable with BYU because it is a place that isn't welcoming to everybody." And so this symbol that like connects me to people, that is really meaningful to me, to some people means is a symbol of exclusion. But to me, it's like my home.
That's interesting.
And I for me, like, rainbow symbols have done the same thing. They've connected me to people.
Interesting.
But while also being misunderstood by others.
Yeah. I mean, how many people have like walked around BYU and then found the one other person wearing a BYU shirt and ran up to them and been like, "Hey," even if they didn't go to BYU themselves, like it's like it's become like a half symbol for the church. And I think people use that. So it definitely has both sides.
Well, and the same thing, I mean, I've seen that happen at like, I've never been to Disney World. Where was it? Universal Studios, where like someone's wearing like a Packers jersey, and it's like, oh yeah, and like it shows something about what you care about and what you know, and it can start conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, and to some people, a pride flag or rainbow stuff might represent things that make them uncomfortable. And honestly, like, to me, if you don't want to use that, like, great, like no judgment, like, do what feels comfortable to you. But I do think it's important that we are actively and overtly showing people that we love you and we care about you and you are welcome here. Like, however we're going to demonstrate that, I think that we should do that in a way that feels comfortable.
I love that you brought that up. And so one thing that I've been thinking about recently, because truly, like, I feel like I've moved out of stage 5 of identity development, and I
To
feel
stage 6, identity synthesis.
I'm trying to be synthesized, people.
Like music in the 80s.
I love 80s synth pop. It's so good. That's what inspired 1989, the best album ever. It's true.
Great.
It's better than what is your whatever EFY album you like to listen to, Ben.
All of them.
2015 was a bop.
But okay, so recently, like, truly, I think the pride flag's great. And also, like I said, I don't think it's like super visually stunning. It doesn't like fit my vibe. And I don't really like having rainbow things around. And I don't really have very much rainbow. I have like one bag of things that I call like the gay bag, where I have stuff, but I like never wear it or use it. It's just like there in case of who knows what. But I was trying to think, like, I was like thinking, should I create some sort of new symbol? Because I was like, gay members of the church, LGBTQ members of the church need something. Because if the pride flag within a church context is creating too much contention, if it is sending wrong messages and actually just like widening this divide that we're trying to close, should we create something new? And I was thinking about it. I've talked with a lot of people, like, and I was like, am I like big enough or popular enough to start something, right? Like our own symbol. And after a couple months of thinking, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to let my life be the symbol. Because I'm out. I'm willing to talk about this if like people know, and I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ, and I have a temple recommend, and I'm a BYU graduate, and I go to BYU games, and I keep showing up. And I feel like, in a way, within our culture, that's more powerful, and that bridges the gap more than the symbol would. And I thought that was really beautiful. And so that's kind of like the approach I've been taking lately.
Not like a groundhog or something.
The gay groundhog.
just kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. Austin, what have people done to show you that they're safe?
Besides the flag.
Yeah.
One of the biggest ones is comments, little things people say. People are giving a talk, or even just talking with someone else. Inclusive language is one that can really clue you in to kind of where this person stands. And this one goes both ways for sure. So on the one side, you'll get tiny little microaggressions, and you'll have people say something just offhanded that immediately tells you, oh, this person's not safe, or this person's probably not going to come out to this person. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, you'll have someone say, just little things like, oh, if someone's interested in boys or girls or something, right? And they'll throw in a little that, or
language,
yeah, just little words here and there, or the way that they talk about a certain subject can usually clue you in, I think. Okay, so when you talk about like you being the symbol, it really like reminds me of President Hinckley when he was asked about like why we don't tend to wear crosses, or we don't really have like a symbol of our faith as Latter-day Saints, and he said, the symbol of our faith is the lives that the members lead. And so like, the symbol of your faith is the life that you lead. The symbol of how accepting or what kind of person you are, or what kind of, community the gay Latter-day Saint community is in the lives that we lead, I think.
As you both were talking, this reminded me of a story where about a year and a half ago, I hosted the BYU Belong concert, where I helped plan it, and then I was asked to MC it. And I was asked not to refer to myself as gay at the event. And I was surprised by that, and I kind of dug for some more information, and they said, Ben, everyone knows you, they know that you're gay, and you being there is the symbol, and that's what matters. And so that's what I did. And I totally agree with you both that in the end, we need to be the symbols of being Christ-like, being loving, being kind, being compassionate. And these words and symbols matter a lot, but in the end, it's going to be who we are and how we treat people that is really going to matter.
I have some questions from the emails directly that were about this that I wanted to make sure we got answered. Is that okay if I ask those?
Yeah, that's awesome.
So the first one is, how do I show others that I love the LGBTQ community? And so, yeah.
So obviously we've talked about like some people wear pins, some people put up a pride flag, but if you don't feel comfortable doing that or you don't want to, or like me, you don't find it aesthetically appealing, like honestly, the advice I would give is to just like pray about small, meaningful ways you can make changes in your life that communicate the message. And I think you'll be inspired because I really believe that God wants his gay sons and daughters to feel loved. And so, yeah, that's what I'd say.
Yeah, and I think if this is a question someone has, this is something worth praying about and pondering about, because what question would what prayer would God be more excited to answer than this? You know, how do I show people that they're loved? Mm-hmm. And there was an email from a long time ago, back when I was answering them all, and someone said that they were listening to the podcast and they felt inspired to plant a little rainbow garden in front of their house. And they did that, and then one day they're out watering their garden, and a neighbor walked by and said, "Oh, I love your flowers," and they started chatting, and then it turns out that this woman, her son had recently come out, and she was struggling, needed someone to talk to.
Oh, I'm so glad you shared that.
And once again, like, that's a rainbow symbol, but this little flower garden showed someone.
But the application, because I think, like I was saying, there is different cultures, there's different countries. In some places you can't fly a pride flag, right? But you can find ways to modify your messaging and still maybe use colorful symbols or something that sends a message that can start conversations and make that known.
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's beautiful.
It was her story, not mine.
You know, and
I'm just the messenger.
Just to kind of tack onto that, I think, and even in this idea of like within a church context, how do we do this? Because there is this like the pride flag was not made by the church. It wasn't made in the church. Like, the church is the last thing these people were thinking about, right? And so it does feel jarring or weird to bring an outside symbol into a religious space sometimes. And yet there is this need for like intersectionality of the symbolism of like, how do you show gay? How do you symbolize LGBTQ if not for the internationally accepted symbol, which is the rainbow? But I think there's been like some really beautiful LDS artists who have made like Jesus with different colors and rainbow. Like, I mean, there's
Jesus. Is that how you say Jesus?
Jesus.
I think we say Jesus.
Jesus. I'm from the Midwest. But like we have some like here, like there's ways to do it that like still pulls in the spirituality, and I think sometimes can shed some of that politicization. And I think that's really cool. Mm-hmm. And I like the what's this called by J. Kirk Richards?
Do
you know it has this? It has
Jesus said, "Love everyone." Maybe.
Yes, that's what it's called. Jesus said, "Love everyone." Like, it's beautiful, and to like hang that in your home or something.
Well, and I love you're talking about intersectionality, and I love when the symbols intersect. And I know not everyone loves that, but like, there's one of my favorite pins that I have it's a shield pin, right? That's reminiscent of the CTR shield that we have, and it's rainbow, and then over the top it says, "I'll walk with you," which is from the primary song, right? Mm-hmm. And like seeing those symbols come together and unifying together, I think is just really powerful.
Mm-hmm. It's like the gay cosmos symbol.
Yeah.
It's over there, huh?
Austin, if you don't walk as straight people do, I'll walk with you. Although some people walk away from you.
All right, the next question.
Prancing along the sidewalk.
Is it okay to display the pride flag as a member of the church?
I mean, if you want to, sure. Like,
yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've done it and I'm a member of the church.
Yeah. Austin, your thoughts?
Yes.
I
mean, I think that, again, a lot of people have discomfort with this. And this is kind of related. I'm going to tie this to another question.
I think it also, can I just kind of step in? I think some people think displaying the pride flag means I'm leaving the church. And we've just got to get over this. Like, people, we have to stop dividing our communities and ourselves so much that anything pro-LGBTQ is anti-religious. Like, we can't do that anymore. So, like, when I display the pride flag, it's not me saying I'm leaving the church. That's insane. That's not what it means. And also, I think it's cool when people can, like, push back against that with the way they live. So, I don't know. A little soapbox. Carry on.
Yeah. So kind of connected to that, another one of these questions was, so it was, can I display a pride flag? I think a lot of folks are worried that it will hurt their reputation or good standing if they show a pride flag or support someone of the same who has same-sex attraction.
And, you know, the truth is that might happen.
Totally.
You know, people might whisper at you and say unkind things, or might misinterpret you. I think that's possible. And yet, there's that hymn that says, "If we do what's right, we have no need to fear." And
what hymn is that?
If we do what's right, we have no need to fear. Fear not, though the other. I don't know the name of the song. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Let us all press on.
Let us all press on. That's it. Yeah. So my family draws names for Christmas, so we don't have to buy everyone a present. And my dad, I drew his name a few years ago. I draw his name like every other year, and he's the worst to shop for. So I asked him what he wanted for Christmas. He wanted a rainbow tie. So I got him a rainbow tie. And my dad is like not the kind of person you would typically expect to wear a rainbow tie, like very politically conservative. But he wears it to church all the time and loves it. And he gets great comments. And on my parents' 50th anniversary, I wasn't able to be there because I was in Sacramento on Trek. But my dad, at my parents' 50th anniversary, he wore
You skipped your parents' 50th to go to Trek.
I did. I know. It was the right choice for everyone involved.
You are something else, Ben Shalati.
Yeah, anyway. And so my dad wore this rainbow tie, and I was like, Dad, I love the tie. And he said, well, I wanted you to be represented that day because you couldn't be there. Yeah. And has it hurt my dad's reputation? I don't know. Probably not. But if it has, he doesn't care.
And that, honestly, that sucks. It sucks that if you're doing something with the intention of spreading kindness and love, and that's met with pushback, or if that's met with judgment, and hurting your reputation. But like, you know what? Sometimes like people are going to talk whatever you do. That's what I'm learning. It doesn't matter what I do. People talk about it.
But I just hope
opinions.
I just hope that if someone is judging you for wearing a rainbow flag, they've taken the beam out of their eye first.
Yeah. What do you think? What symbol represents the beam to you?
A log.
I know that like this won't change anyone, but like I really hope that anyone who is looking at that, right, sees someone else with a rainbow flag, and just like you're saying, like for a lot of people, it means they're leaving the church, right? That they would take the time to ask that person what that symbol means to them first. In the same way that if someone tells you their orientation, right, if someone says I'm same-sex attracted, or I'm gay, or any of these other labels, that you ask, well, what does that mean to you, and how is that personal to you? Because it really means a whole lot. And so if someone's showing a pride flag, to say, what does the pride flag mean to you?
Totally. And I do think it's just super realistic to say, if you display a pride flag or something pride related, then you're going to have people come to you and have really amazing conversations. You're going to spread safety and love. And at the same time, people are going to recoil from you, and it's going to be awkward sometimes. Like, both of those things are true.
Yep.
The final question.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on the other pride flags, like the gay flag, or the lesbian flag, the bi, the trans? There's now a bunch of flags for all the different gender identities and sexual orientations.
I'm not from, I've seen, I think most of them, I've seen like posters and stuff and at events. If there's a symbol that someone loves that they feel like it represents them, I'm just happy for them.
You know the lipstick lesbian flag?
It's like,
Have you seen
it's
this?
like red and pink.
Apparently. No. Yeah. But I think it has, anyway, like lipstick lesbians are supposed to be like very feminine presenting lesbians, and they like have their own flag because it's like their own little club. That's the first thing I thought of. I don't know why, but I mean I have similar thoughts to Ben. I think if I do, the one that feels most like applicable to me is just like the standard 6-color flag. And also I recognize that some other flag designs pull in more people and feel more inclusive to a lot of different people.
Yeah, with like brown
who
or black
are beyond
stripes,
like cisgender gay white males. And I think that's cool, and that's wonderful. And so I would love to like have conversations with people. Like, I don't know, like I feel it the same as the rest of the conversation we've had. I don't think it's aesthetically pleasing, and yet if it's going to help someone in times of need, I'm happy to like fly that flag in solidarity with my like siblings in Christ.
Yeah. Your thoughts, Austin?
I think they're great. But yeah, I think just the same thing as you're saying, is that it's, some people really identify strongly, or some people even want to, help, show solidarity for a very specific group, or to show something more. I think those are opportunities to do that.
Yeah. And I think, as we come closer together and root out some of the cultural sadnesses, the things that are hurtful to people, I think there will be less need for, just visible love and support, because it'll just be assumed, right? Love and support hopefully someday is just assumed within this space, but right now it's not. And so to anyone still wondering, like, why is this a big deal? Why do people push so hard to make this happen? It's because people right now, the assumption is that if I'm gay, I'm going to be rejected. If I'm gay, I'm in danger. And that's the message we get from news, from media, from growing up reading talks at church, from comments at Sunday school. There's so many ways that say it, from politics and rights, there's so many ways that say if you're gay, if you identify as LGBTQ+, you will be rejected and you won't be safe. And really all it is, I think, is just a response to that and saying, you know what, no, we're gonna go one step further to just show that you are safe. Yeah. And if you're not safe with everyone, you're for damn sure safe with me.
I love this idea of, showing people love and kindness and charity. And I love this idea of asking people, what a symbol means to them. I remember one time I was reading in the New Testament, and I was reading the book of Revelation, which is very odd. I think it's Revelation chapter 4. It might not be there though. It might be chapter 9. I'm really not sure. But there's an angel that John sees that has a rainbow on its like as a crown on its head. It's got a rainbow on its head. And then I kept reading the chapter, and then John, the angel tells John things that he's told not to write. And I thought, oh my gosh, this angel with a rainbow had things to say that we don't know yet. And I thought that, and I thought of that, and I was like, that angel with the rainbow is kind of a symbol of continuing revelation and the 9th article of faith.
Pretty.
And then so one of my friends once, I was wearing that rainbow ring, and said, so when you wear that rainbow, what does that mean to you? And I said, it represents the 9th article of faith to me, that God has a lot more to teach us, and I'm excited to see what revelations he has. And to me, it's a reminder of God's love and his continued care and teaching of us.
That's really pretty. That's awesome, Ben. Yeah. Well, Austin, thanks so much for being with us, for sharing your thoughts.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for answering all those emails. It does me a favor, and Ben too. So
thank you. Yeah. So friends, is the pride flag okay?
I hope it's okay. I hope they're okay.
I hope the pride flag is doing okay. I mean, a lot of people misunderstand it, and that's sad.
Yeah.
So it might be struggling a little bit.
People misunderstand me a lot, and I'm not doing okay right now. But that's an episode for another day.
So maybe the pride flag is a little low.
Maybe it's a little low.
How do we show support for the pride flag?
Personified.
Just let it share its feelings with you. Anyway.
Austin, thanks so much for joining us today. You're awesome. It was fun to hear your thoughts, and thanks for answering emails and just being an all-around cool guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have enjoyed this or other episodes, please consider leaving a review, following us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at Questions from the Closet, or sharing this podcast with someone you love. And as always, please remember that we do not represent the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Brigham Young University. We're not trying to be prescriptive or tell anyone what to think or what to do.
You heard 3 perspectives, and there are many, many more. We encourage you to listen to other voices and hear a wide variety of experiences. If you would like to submit a question or share a comment about today's episode, you can email us at questionsfromthecloset@gmail.com.
Until next time.